Welcome back, SethBling here. Today's video is a follow-up to yesterday's video. Yesterday I showed a storage system with infinite capacity in a finite amount of space using storage minecarts. The idea is that you can merge together an entire stack of storage minecarts or however many storage minecarts you want all into a single block's area and then sort through them to find the items you want. There was a big problem with the one yesterday, which is that if one of the minecart chests filled up completely with items, you wouldn't be able to access it. So this version fixes that. This uses an interface that I first saw in an Ethos Lab video, I'm pretty sure it was anyway, where you hover over the type of minecart you want. Let's say I want ores. I hover over that one and I press Q. That will drop one item from the chest into these hoppers, and we'll use that to find the ores chest. And so up here, we get the chest with the ores ID card, the very first slot. Notice that there were 63 ores ID cards in the chest before. It went down to 62 when I pressed Q and dropped it into the hoppers. Now it's back up to 63, so it automatically puts that ID card back into the chest. Kind of grabs it out of this minecart. And let's see. So there's, 63 lapis ore in this stack. So let's return this back to the system, and I can use my auto sorter to add, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4 additional lapis ore. And then next time I request the ores cart, let's go ahead and do it. We'll see those additional lapis have been auto sorted into that minecart. So that's the auto sorting feature. Yep, so this stack is now full, and this one has 3 additional lapis in it. I can return it back to the system. Yeah, so just by adding the ID card system, it doesn't break anymore. when you sort too many items into a minecart, you don't have the problem anymore where you, like, let's say I was trying to, find my redstone blocks, and so I would put a redstone block into the system with the one I showed yesterday. I would drop a redstone block in here, but it wouldn't be able to actually find this chest because it wouldn't be able to actually put an item into that minecart. So this works very similarly to the one yesterday. The main difference is the ID card system, how you select the ID card. So like I said, when you right click and you hover over one, you press Q. It's basically like if you did this. So you take the cobblestone block out, you put it in your hotbar, and then if you press Q from here, and you can see that goes into the hoppers. Now it'll sit in this hopper until something passes by with that cobblestone block's ID card, and it will put it into that chest, which will basically trigger this rail to flip directions. And so whichever minecart it matched will come up to the top. It'll pass over this hopper, which sucks the first item, whatever's in the first slot, out of the chest. And so that happens to be the ID card. So it'll suck the ID card out of the chest, just one of them, not both, and put it back into the directory over here. So you don't have to fiddle with that yourself. And that's the main modification that I made. There is one other safety feature that I added to this one. It's an important one though. So there's a green and a red button, but basically, if I press the green button, what'll happen is the minecart will get put down over here. It'll get put into the stack, and then the stack will get pushed over to the side and then over on top of the slime block. So let's actually do that. Green button, pushed over, pushed over. Okay, so now it's on top of the slime block, and I'm ready to sort through the system again. But let's say I wanted to add a new minecart to the system. So let's do that. Right click here. I would need to put an ID card in. Let's just put another cobblestone ore chest, because everyone kind of has way too much cobblestone ore. So anyway, so we put another chest in here to receive cobblestone ore. Notice that this one is the named item, whereas these can basically be stacked on with new cobblestone. So if I push this green button again, it will get put down into here, but it won't actually get pushed over and up here. Because if the system tried to push this over to the side and then over here, it wouldn't actually be able to push it, and your entire system would basically break. It would be really bad. All your minecarts would go everywhere. So there's a little safety system over here with a little latch that basically prevents you from pressing that green button twice. Now, once you do like search for an item, let's search for cobblestone blocks. Once you do search for an item, it'll reset that latch. And now I can press that green button again, and that will actually work. it will, you know, push all the entire stacks over on top of that slime block. And you're ready to go again. So I want to actually go block by block and show you how to build this. And so I'm going to do that. Now I've only built this, well, twice. So I actually just recorded basically an hour's worth of footage of building it a second time right here. And then I realized that my mic was not working. I even did like a test recording right before I recorded that just to make sure everything was good. But between the test recording and the actual hour-long recording, everything broke. Well, the mic broke anyway. So I'm going to try again. Hopefully the mic will be working this time. But I'm going to show you block by block. I will have to cut it up a bunch because I don't have this all memorized. I've only built this twice. But yeah, I'll show you how to build it. This isn't going to be exactly like a tutorial for a survival world. I will be flying around and stuff. But this will at least give you a starting place to build it for yourself and help you understand what all the components do. And then you can tinker around with it, and hopefully you guys will come up with some improvements, both compaction and maybe also some additional safety features to make sure you don't break the system. So here we go. All right, so let's start a couple blocks off the ground, just so make sure we have room. Now you want a sticky piston facing up with a slime block on top of it. This is the core of the system. This is where the minecarts are going to get sorted. And then off to the side here, put a regular piston, 3 blocks up. So notice that I am facing towards positive Z right now, facing south. That is actually important. For instance, the sort of like T junction here in the rail will work differently if you're facing a different direction. There are ways to correct for that, but this is the direction that I'm facing. So this goes up and then this goes to the side, and I'm facing positive Z south. So next we're going to want to build the rail line where the minecarts get pushed onto. And so we'll do it like this. We have 3 powered rails, and then this is where the T junction is going to go. And we'll put, I think this is a regular rail and then a powered rail here. Nope, I was wrong. This is actually a powered rail. And we'll put a redstone block next to it to power it. And then this comes around here with a regular rail and a detector rail. And then over here, we're actually going to start building upwards and put another redstone block on top of this. And so this is going to be sort of like a vertical lifter for the minecart that gets matched. So let's do it like this. So basically the minecart, this is where the minecart matching is going to try and happen, or the ID card matching. And if it matches, then it'll go up here. And if it doesn't match, it'll get sorted around here and sort of drop back down below. So let's actually grab some terracotta and build that. Any kind of terracotta will work. I'm going to use red because it's just kind of bland. So let's put one here and one here. And then any solid block here with a rail. So this terracotta will prevent the minecarts from like falling off from this rail. Then we'll need over here we'll need a regular piston. That's just a temporary block. I can remove that afterwards. And then over here we'll put a sticky piston. So the sticky piston will sort of push this rail and then retract it, and then this will push. So basically we'll have a stack of minecarts on top of this rail. And so it'll push the rail and the stack of minecarts, then retract just the rail, but not the stack of minecarts. And then this will push the stack of minecarts on top of the slime block so that it can be ready to be sort of for the minecarts to be separated and sorted through. We are going to need a hopper pointed at this rail right here, then 2 hoppers back, 2 hoppers back, and let's put a block next to that so we can put the directory actually wait, the directory goes, no, here. So actually I want to put maybe blocks back here so I can put the directory here. Nope, that's wrong. Directory goes, right, okay. Directory goes here. So you don't need that block, but you do need still that block underneath it. So this is basically where you pull items out of the directory and then drop them into this hopper. And the hoppers will basically try and sort out the ID card into one of the incoming minecarts. Okay, so next we want to build a little monostable circuit. So first we'll check if there's an item in this hopper, and we'll do a little monostable circuit based on that. So this is the design that I have prepared for that. You put a 1-tick repeater on the bottom and a 4-tick repeater on the top. Then you need redstone dust here, and whoops. And that'll just come right over here. Now, depending on which direction you're facing, this will be different. But what I want is, by default, for the minecarts to go off to here. And then when this actually pulses because the minecart or because the hopper empties out, I want this rail to switch directions. So let's take a look at that. So you put an item in here, nothing should happen. When you take out that cobblestone, notice that that just swapped for a moment. So yeah, that basically when this hopper matches a minecart and is able to put the ID card into the minecart, it'll swap this rail, it'll allow it to come up here. If this was pointed a different direction, you could just put a torch on the side of this block and have redstone pointing at it. So if this rail was like curved the other way. So that's how you fix that. Okay, next we need the hoppers that will return the ID cards back to the directory. So you put a hopper facing the directory chest, pointed at it, and then one on top of that. And yeah, so then the minecart's going to run over that. We'll put another couple of blocks here, and then so we'll have a curved rail and then some powered rail up here. And then that needs to curve up here. So we curve it, and this is where you're actually going to retrieve that whatever minecart matches the ID card. And then that'll drop down here. Now actually, I don't want to be using just any old colored sandstone. I want to be using some red and green blocks. So I like using, let's see, lime terracotta and red terracotta. I think those look pretty good. Or you could do, actually, let's do lime concrete. Where is it? Lime concrete. It's a little bit brighter. And red concrete. Yeah, those look a little bit nicer. So I'll put the green one on the left and the red one on the right. And then 2 powered rail. And so this is where the minecart that you request is going to land. And also this is where you're going to put in new minecarts into the system. Then you're going to go ahead and we're going to want to basically have them land down here. And so you're actually going to have to, so this is going to cause a problem. This rail is trying to connect up here. Whoops. So you actually have to break this for a sec. Then create the rail so that it turns like that. And then break that one. You can put that powered rail back up there. And then we need a block here and a block here just so that the minecart will actually land down there. And then we want a button on each of these. We can sort of build around this now. We don't need this exposed anymore. So we can create a little floor for ourselves. Next, we'll create the clock that actually runs the minecart separator. So come over to this monostable circuit you built, and basically we want to start the clock when there's an item in this hopper. And so since we have a comparator coming out of that and a repeater coming out of that, we can actually just read that signal, and we will put a redstone dust there and a repeater there, and then we're just trying to get the signal kind of downward nicely here. And then here we will put a little comparator clock. So this will be facing, we're going to try and get it near the slime block piston. So comparator, put that in subtract mode by right clicking on it. And then a repeater here. And then this forms the clock. And so if I put an item in this hopper, the clock will turn on. And then let's take that back out. So now we need to hook that up to this piston with a 1-tick repeater. And then we're going to need to also get the signal up there. So let's do it like this. And we're going to use a 2-tick repeater on this one. So we have a 2-tick repeater pointed at this piston and also connected to the clock. And so now, if we have an item in the hopper, we'll see those pistons fire. This one fires 1 redstone tick before this one. And that is the minecart separator. But we also need the clock to be triggered by this detector rail. So basically, as long as there's an ID card in this hopper and it hasn't matched a minecart yet, this hopper will keep the clock going. But once it does match a minecart, this hopper will be empty. But we still need to keep that clock going as long as there's any minecarts left in the stack that's on top of this slime block. And so to do that, we'll hook this detector rail up. And so sticky piston facing down, put a redstone block underneath that. And then we want to read a redstone signal coming out of that. You put a 4-tick repeater here. So this is just a tiny little pulse extender. This will just basically make that redstone pulse last a little longer, because as the minecarts run over this detector rail, they won't quite keep the piston down all the time to keep this clock going nonstop. And so this pulse extender just adds a little bit of life to that. So as we add minecarts to the system, they're going to come over here and they're going to drop down there. Or after we sort through the system, basically they'll go the same place. They'll drop down onto this rail right here. But we need to actually build a system that'll push the minecarts over here, then over here. So let's go ahead and do that now. We're going to want a piston here and a piston here. So this button will trigger this piston. So we'll put a redstone block. This is a little latch, and it's a safety feature to prevent us from pushing the piston multiple times, which would cause problems. Now we're going to read from that by putting redstone dust right here, and then we'll use a sticky piston here. Let's grab a slime block and an observer pointed downwards. So this is going to basically, whenever we push this, successfully push the redstone block with this green button, it will trigger this piston to push the observer, and we'll read that down here at this redstone dust. So I'll explain why that's important in a second, but let's first of all, or before we do that, let's go ahead and read from this detector rail with an observer pointed this way, and then a block here, and a block here, and redstone dust. So whenever we trigger the detector rail here, it's going to push the redstone block back here. Okay, so what do we have right now? Let's go ahead and add a button right here. This will be useful. So when we want to add minecarts to the system, we'll put a minecart here and then push this green button. Or also after we've sorted out a minecart and we have a minecart here, we'll push the green button. And basically the green button will allow the minecart to get down there and then push the entire stack over here, then over here on top of the slime block. But you really don't want to do that twice. If you let's say you have an entire stack of minecarts on top of this green slime block, and you put a new minecart here and push the green button, you don't want it to fall down and then try and get pushed over and then into the existing stack of minecarts. If it did, it wouldn't actually merge correctly, and your minecarts would go everywhere, and it would be a disaster. You would basically lose your entire system. Your minecarts would just go rolling off on their own. It would be not good. So this is a little safety system. Basically, you push the green block once, it'll trigger that redstone. If you push it again, nothing's going to happen until a minecart goes over the detector rail and resets it and allows you to do it again. Because the minecart going over the detector rail symbolizes that all of the minecarts from on top of this slime block are going to get sorted through, because this detector rail powers that clock. And so it basically guarantees that you don't have any blocks on top of the slime block when you press that green button. Anyway, it's an important safety feature. Just if you didn't understand that, just trust me, it's important. Okay, so we have to actually control the pistons with this though. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a block on top of that, and then it's going to come around here and a block here. Then we need repeaters. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Each of these needs to be on the maximum 4-tick setting. And then also have another repeater here on the maximum 4-tick setting. Another one here, just 1 tick. Redstone dust and redstone dust here. And so now when we push that green button, we will see we saw both pistons fire, right? We saw this one push and pull. So if there was a stack of minecarts here, it would, in fact, I can even just demonstrate. Well, imagine that one minecart is a stack, and I'll do it again. So it'll basically pushes the minecart rail and the entire stack over here. and then retracts that rail so that it doesn't get pushed around anymore. And then this piston pushes it over here. Okay. So next, I want to add the auto sorting system. So we'll add a trapped chest wherever we want to put that. So this is where you'll put items into the system without adding a new minecart. So put that trapped chest wherever you want. A trap chest is nice because it provides a redstone signal, so hoppers can't suck items out of it while it's while you're like using it. So let's see. You need a temporary block here on top of the slime blocks, and then a hopper pointed that direction. Now you have a bit of freedom as to where the hoppers go. This is how I chose to do it, but you could probably do it differently. So just make sure you have a chain of hoppers pointed at each other and coming out of the chest. So here, if we put a cobblestone in the chest, because this is a trap chest, it's not going to suck the item out until I close that interface. Then it'll go through this chain of hoppers, and it should end up right here, ready to put any items into the stack of minecarts that's waiting on top of this slime block. At this point, basically it's just kind of like making the user interface look a little bit nicer. So you can use stairs on top of chests. If you put a regular full block on top of a chest, you can't open the chest. So you want to use stairs with the back facing towards the user interface side. This looks like a full block. It's pretty much identical, except it won't prevent you from opening the chest. So you can do that anywhere you have chests. So, whoops, on top of this trap chest as well. Just put a couple of stairs, but otherwise just use normal blocks just anywhere you want them to make it look a little bit nicer. You can put them over here so you can't see as many of the redstone components. Yeah, anywhere you want to put those, but otherwise it's pretty much done. Let's put an anvil down here as well. It's nice to have an anvil ready to go so that you can name items. Let's put a block behind that, and yeah, you can pretty this up however you want. Okay, I think at this point everything's done. I'm not 100% sure I copied every single aspect of the system, but I think so. So let's go ahead and give it a test, and I'll show you how to add your first few minecarts to the system. Now, I would recommend you have at least five minecarts in here to start with. Physics don't seem to work out quite right if you have fewer than 5. If you have at least 5, you should be fine. So first, we plop down a minecart with a chest on top of this green block. By the way, if this redstone block isn't on the right side, you need to push this button over here to make sure it is. Oops. It needs to be over here so that when you push the green button, it actually does something. But we're not going to push the green button yet. First, let's go ahead and add let's add a rail types ID card to the system. So put that rail types ID card in here, and then the remainder we can just go in this directory. Now we make sure we fill up the chest with anything really, but in this case we'll put rails. It just needs to make sure that every single slot has something in it. If there's any empty slots, then it will match any ID card, and that's really not what you want. Now push the red button. This will send the minecart off without committing the changes, because you need at least 5 minecarts in the system before you commit them all and can actually search through them. Okay, so we'll put down another minecart. Here, let's go ahead and put sandstone blocks. Just needs to be renamed to anything, and then we'll put that in the first slot. The remainder go in here, and then we can just like fill this up entirely if we want. Push the red button. Let's do another sandstone blocks one actually. So sandstone blocks. So it can actually be valuable to name it or to use a different item than is actually contained in the chest for the ID card, because this looks identical to the rest of these, and it would be very easy to accidentally like remove this one. But just make sure that you don't remove that first ID card item, otherwise you won't be able to match it. But yeah, you can have one item in each slot. You can fill up each slot, push the red button. Let's see, let's do, oh yeah, so let's rename these activator rails. Let's call this one Minecarts, and I'll show you how you can use non-stackable items in these chests, which is a nice feature. And we can put non-stackable minecarts in here, right? And you can still summon it by using this Minecarts ID card. And then, so that's 4 chests. You can actually tell how many chests are in the system by subtracting each of these from 64. There's 1 rail types chest, 2 sandstone blocks chest, and 1 minecarts chest. Let's do one more. I'll do, how about redstone components? So let's rename some redstone torches into redstone components. And put that in the first slot. The remainder go in go in here, and just make sure we fill up all those slots with redstone components. And this is the 5th chest, so it'll be good to commit. So when you want to commit, you press this green button, and what I mean by commit is instead of just getting stacked here, it'll actually get pushed on top of the green slime block. Now do notice that in between this chest and these hoppers, you can actually see those storage minecarts. So you can tell, you'll see storage minecarts there, or you'll see a slime block there. So you can kind of tell whether it's ready to sort or not by doing that. Then if we want to summon an item, hopefully this works. Let's press Q on the redstone components one. And it looks like it's sorting through them. We have a redstone components chest, and then all the remaining chests that didn't get sorted through are down there. There's no like rogue chests running off. I think we did it. Push the green one to put it back in the system, and we'll see on top of that slime block the minecart chest get returned. Let's summon a sandstone blocks chest. And so we'll see all the things getting sorted. There's that slime block once again. So here you'll notice that we got that sandstone, the full one. Let's return it, and I just want to show you. So basically every time you request a certain type of minecart, you're going to get the same one. And so here we got the same one. Now let's return it to the system. That can actually change. If you log out and log back in, it can change the search order, and I don't know which one I'll get, but let's try putting the sandstone blocks one in here again, and let's see which one we get. But yeah, so we actually got a different one this time. So yeah, that's just something you should be aware of. It'll always find the same one during the same session, but it can actually change between the sessions. Let's put some sandstone blocks in the sorting chest over here, and let's just verify that those are getting sorted in. And I think that's kind of the last feature. Sandstone blocks. Let's make sure that those actually, some of those made their way into that storage minecarts. Looks good. Perfect. So if you do want to remove a minecart from the system, what I would recommend doing is manually removing all the blocks. You can put that ID card back into the directory, and then breaking the chest. If you break the chest with all the blocks in it, they kind of go scattering, and some of them might fall into the hoppers here, and that would pretty much break your system a bit. Basically, if you, let's see. Oh yeah, and then if you remove the minecart, you also still need to press this green button, because you can see there's a slime block there. So we need to return those minecarts back to their ready position. Now there's only 4 minecarts in here, so that might actually break things, so I probably shouldn't have broken that chest, but yeah. Anyway, that's how you build it. That's how it works. Those are all the different parts of it. Hopefully if you followed along with all that, you have an understanding of how the system works, and I'd love to see what kind of tweaks you guys come up with, some safety features, because there are a few ways to accidentally break this system. Nothing too bad, hopefully, but yeah, you might have to go manually, like remove items from this hopper or something if you put in an item that doesn't match any of the ID cards or stuff like that. But yeah, I think this is quite an improvement. That's about it. Thanks for watching.